What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and welcome back to Shiftry Week. In the previous videos, we took a look at some of my favorite battles from Season 1, and in this video, we're going to look at some of my favorite battles from Season 2 as I ranked up from Rank 1 to Rank 8 at the beginning of the season with Shiftry. So the first video that we're going to look at here is a rank 1 game, and I'll try to play some videos from each rank here, 1 through 7. For this first one, it is Azumaril up against Skarmory, and that is a pretty good matchup to get. We are going to take some damage from this Skarmory, but I build up the energy for a Hydro Pump before just releasing an Ice Beam, and this does get their shield here. We're going to take an additional Sky Attack, and I'm going to be able to throw out a Hydro Pump before they kill me. But they switch, and this is really interesting because they switch to Altaria even though they already saw the Ice Beam, but they were able to successfully switch and absorb that move as Altaria takes not very effective damage from Hydro Pump. So we switch into Registeel, and this was an interesting battle here too because it's a double flying team for my Shiftry team, but Registeel and Azumaril line up against flying type Pokemon pretty well. As you can see, I mean, we've got 2 shields to their 0 now, and we are able to we're in a really good position here. So I Flash Cannon, and it's a Lantern now, which is able to double resist this Flash Cannon. So I just go ahead and switch to Shiftry, but that lets my opponent switch to Skarmory. And here is where Shiftry gets to do something that Meganium wouldn't be able to do, that Venusaur wouldn't be able to do, and that is actually take down this Skarmory without too much of a hassle here. So we give it one foul play, then a few Snarls, and then when this Lantern comes back in, we can double Leaf Blade it to clean up the rest of the match. So there you go. One of the reasons I love Shiftry, even those flying type Pokemon that should give it some trouble, it really doesn't have to care about. Now we're going to look at a rank 2 game, and it is Azumaril versus Deoxys. And we're going to go ahead and build to a Hydro Pump and then bait with an Ice Beam like we do. We're going to shield my opponent's Thunderbolt, but they actually baited me as well. So we'll still throw this Ice Beam here, and we are able to get the shield from my opponent. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch into Registeel. Obviously, we're taking super effective damage from Deoxys' counters, its fast moves, but we'll be able to deal so much damage with our Flash Cannons here, and Registeel doesn't really have to worry about Deoxys' charge moves, especially not if they are just Rock Slide. So it looks like my opponent might not have the second move unlocked on that Deoxys, which does happen sometimes at rank 2. But, you know, that's why you unlock those moves, to get some more wins, you know, so we are going to deal a little bit of damage to this Azumaril before it finishes us off here, and then we should be able to bring in Shiftry, quickly build up to a Leaf Blade, and finish off this Azumaril. My opponent's last Pokemon is Altaria, and this was a really funny moment in the match. So my opponent doesn't want to just kill my Shiftry because then they know they've got to deal with the Azumaril that has an Ice Beam in the back. So they are trying to build up enough energy to the point where they think that they can kill Azumaril, but Shiftry just kills the Altaria instead. So yeah, pretty great job by Shiftry there to take out Altaria, which would be a problem for any other Grass-type Pokemon. The third match here, we are in rank 3 now, and we are up against a Body Slam Vigoroth. Body Slam Vigoroth, it's got the stab Body Slam, and Body Slam is a really good, cheap, and hard-hitting charge move here, so they really want to try to make us blow a shield and they are just dealing a lot of damage, chunking down our Azumaril here. I'm not going to shield these body slams, and I'm going to get off an Ice Beam, which will get me a shield from them, and then they will counter farm me down, and they'll have a body slam ready for my next Pokemon, but it's a Registeel. So Registeel doesn't care about body slam. I get to lock on farm them down now, and I am up a shield. They do have priority in terms of switch advantage here because they are in a positive matchup right now. But when I switch to Shiftry, they switch into Venusaur, and we're doing okay here. Just because Shiftry is able to generate energy so quickly, you see we've already dealt 2 fast moves and blown their shield before they are able to make us blow our shield here. So they Sludge Bomb, we shield it, trade shields for shields, and I farm up a little bit more energy on my opponent's Ivysaur, and that is just because I wanted to be able to beat Whiscash to a Blizzard. I wasn't sure how much energy it would have, and we take care of the Whiscash as well. So there is a grass Pokemon in Ivysaur that's supposed to beat other grass-type Pokemon, but Shiftry doesn't play by the same rules as everybody else. Now we see a Haunter, and we talked about this yesterday, but Haunter is just such a tricky Pokemon for me to deal with, and you can see once again me getting baited by a Shadow Punch. I get baited every single time, but then my opponent switches into excuse me, they switch into a Lapras, which just lets us switch into a Registeel, and this is a pretty fantastic matchup for us. Flash Cannon is neutral, and Focus Blast is super effective. They have the not very effective Skull Bash, which isn't going to make me care too much about it. It will raise their defenses by a little bit, but as you'll see, one Focus Blast is basically enough to take them out anyway. So they deal a decent amount of damage to my Registeel, but here comes the Focus Blast, and boom, that Lapras is dead, and the fact that they had those extra defenses actually just let me get more energy on my Registeel. Now, it didn't matter too much as Haunter was able to farm me down there, but I bring in Shiftry, and now I've lined up Shiftry against Haunter. My opponent's going to switch, and their last Pokemon is Jirachi. So this looks like another team that Shiftry would have been great against all 3 of my opponent's Pokemon. We foul play and then double snarl the Jirachi, and my opponent has had enough. Another rank 4 game here. We are up against a Bastiodon, and that's a pretty good matchup for Azumaril as well. We don't really have to care about the Stone Edges. The Smackdowns will deal a little bit of damage, but they just absolutely have to shield these Hydro Pumps to the point where I might even consider baiting in this matchup in the future, but it's already just such a decisive victory that why mess with it? Just throw my Hydro Pumps. Now we've gotten one of my opponent's shields, and we've won the lead. Ludicolo comes in and farms Azumaril down, but we're doing good. And I wasn't sure whether or not to bring Shiftry or Registeel in against the Ludicolo, but I go for the Registeel, and then they switch to Altaria, so now we are in a pretty good position. Looks like I made the wrong decision, but then my opponent corrected for me, so we're up in shields. I don't have to shield anything that this Altaria is doing. I will just Flash Cannon with my Registeel, so they actually are going to shield this Flash Cannon, and then they are able to kill me. Oh, that's right. They use a Sky Attack, and I shield. Yeah, this was pretty embarrassing, and they still kill me before I get my Flash Cannon off. All right, Shiftry, it's up to you. We definitely have to shield this Sky Attack here, and we have to hope that we can beat Ludicolo before he can Blizzard us. They actually switched into Ludicolo, but my opponent's Altaria doesn't have any energy either, so we were able to foul play and dispense of that. So I think my opponent should have let their Altaria die, or at least try to I don't know. They played it poorly towards the end there, but Shiftry was able to clean things up. In this next game here, it is Azumaril versus Whiscash, which is a really good lead. I've been on the other side of this match a bunch, and you basically just want to switch your Whiscash as soon as possible. Switch it to anything. Switch it to, Altaria would even be better, I think. Whiscash just cannot pressure Azumaril, and the Whiscash has to shield. So we get their first shield here, and we take some Mud Bombs. The only thing that Whiscash can really do in this matchup is build energy, and they didn't even do that. They used all of their Mud Bombs against us, then they switched over to Hypno. Now, even though Shiftry is really good against Whiscash, I do decide to switch to Shiftry here just to clean up this Haunter, and it looks like this is a Thunder Punch only Haunter, probably Thunder Punch Shadow Ball if I had to guess, which is just the perfect moveset for Shiftry to poop on. Now we have Altaria, and I'm going to go ahead and switch to Azumaril to get my opponent's last shield here. And my opponent can't really profitably switch to Whiscash because it doesn't have any energy, and they're just going to lose their Altaria to my Azumaril. So we Ice Beam their Altaria, and then they bring in Whiscash, and yeah, we see them concede there because, it's over. We've got another rank 5 game here, and this is a pretty cool Pokemon. So the Shadow Balls threaten the Registeel and the Azumaril just because it's such a hard-hitting move, and the Powder Snow, which I believe is Frostlass's fast move, deals super effective damage to Shiftry. So I bring in Shiftry, I don't shield, I take the Shadow Ball, which is not very effective, but still deals a lot of damage, and then I build up to 2 Leaf Blades. So we get both of my opponent's shields, so things are looking pretty good. I decide to go over to Registeel, and I shield this first Shadow Ball, and they have another Shadow Ball. So they were able to get so much energy off on my Azumaril, but then they do switch out the Frostlass here at the end to hang on to it. So when they bring in Whiscash, I switch over to Azumaril, and that should be easy cleanups here. I will be able to, again, tank these Mud Bombs pretty effortlessly, and now I can build up some energy so that way when Frostlass comes back in, we should be able to deal with it regardless of how things line up here. They decide to bring in an Umbreon, and that is a good thing for us. Azumaril beats Umbreon pretty handedly. Then right after we Hydro Pump, then they switch into Frostlass. So really good play by my opponent there, and either I had some over tapping or I wasn't sure how long it took for them to get a Shadow Ball, but I wind up having to blow a shield, and then I just under tap so that way I can farm down the Frostlass and deal with this Umbreon. I am actually going to go ahead and switch to Registeel here for the back end of this Umbreon, just because I know I can get to a Focus Blast before it deals with a foul play, and I don't want anything funky happening. But this was a pretty cool team. I haven't really played against Frostlass too much, but I'm glad I was able to think on my feet, and Shiftry really helped to get both of its shields from my opponent and turn that into a win. Here we finally see an Alolan Raichu, and this was one of the cooler games against Alolan Raichu, so I wanted to show this one off here. But there's a lot of Alolan Raichu in Season 2, which is why I think Shiftry is so good right now. Of course, when we switch into Shiftry, that lets them switch off, but we are going to be able to throw some Leaf Blades at this Bastiodon, and it's actually, a pretty surprisingly good matchup for Shiftry here, and we will wind up getting one of my opponent's shields, and they are able to farm us down, and we just barely miss out on that last Leaf Blade. So now my opponent is going to have a Stone Edge ready to go on this Azumaril, and right before I kill the Bastiodon, because I thought I could farm it down, they actually get another Stone Edge, and that was fine for me too, because now I don't have to worry about Alolan Raichu farming down my Azumaril. It is unfortunately, again, going to kill me right before we get to that second Ice Beam, so that's a little bit annoying, and we take some Thunder Punches on the Registeel here. Get a little bit greedy farming energy, and at this point I say I'm still going to hold on to my shields, which I think is also a little bit greedy and potentially silly, but I throw out a Focus Blast, and I actually needed a little bit more time to kill it anyway, so it wasn't really a matter of being greedy. It's just Alolan Raichu can resist both of Registeel's charge moves. Now we're up against Hypno, and I am finally going to use these shields here, and this is one of my closest games in this video. I have a shield, but we are super close here, and I am just barely able to farm them down with a sliver of health remaining. So a really, really fun game. We're going to look at one more rank 5 game here, because I did have some fun ones at rank 5. And here we're up against a Jirachi. If you remember that, I believe, from Tuesday's video. There were a few Jirachi matchups then too, so I'm going to go ahead, build to a Hydro Pump, bait with an Ice Beam, and my opponent will shield this, and then we'll have to spend 1 shield, and we'll be able to get my opponent's last shield here. So yeah, we shield that Doom Desire, then we throw a Hydro Pump, and now my opponent can either lose the lead or throw their last shield. So they throw their last shield, and then we bring in Registeel, and it doesn't really matter that they hung onto their Jirachi because Registeel is just going to wall it here. So we will build up to a Flash Cannon, and I even overfarm it a little bit intentionally because these Doom Desires just don't deal that much damage. And I'd rather build up some additional energy on Registeel because we don't know what's coming up in the future. So here we have a Wish Cache, and I decide to throw my Focus Blast out on the Wish Cache. I maybe could have just switched, but yeah, a little bit of a risky play there. Once we see their Mud Bomb, then I go ahead and switch to Shiftry, and again, I'm Shiftry against Skarmory, but again, with a shield advantage. So I throw that Foul Play, and obviously I'm going to shield this Sky Attack, and I kind of forgot how much energy Wish Cache had, so I farmed down the Skarmory a little bit more. Yes, my Grass-type Pokemon farmed down the Skarmory, but that lets me throw a Leaf Blade at Wish Cache immediately as it comes into play and win that game. I'm going to look at one more game here, and that is a rank 7 battle here. As you can see, I'm already 2100 rating, so all I have to do is not lose this like super terribly. I don't even think it's possible. They have Umbreon, they switch to Skarmory, so we switch to Registeel, and this is a pretty straightforward one so far. They're going to throw some Flash Cannons at the Registeel, and we're going to throw some Focus Blasts, which they are just going to take head on here before throwing some other Sky Attacks and letting their Skarmory get defeated. So I build up a little bit excess energy and then Flash Cannon this Skarmory down, and surprisingly it shields. So my opponent just thought that they would be able to do some Sky Attacks, do some damage. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but from there we just farm them down, and then I'm able to throw a Focus Blast at their Umbreon. So that was not really a good shield from my opponent there. Their Umbreon will be able to kill my Registeel before I can deal too much, and then when I bring in Azumaril, they switch out again to Lantern. Now I can switch my Shiftry in, and Shiftry should be able to clean this up pretty handedly here. So that's all. Pretty decisive victory there too, and my team lined up pretty well against my opponent's team. But hopefully this shows just how good Shiftry can be. There are so many Pokemon that it's good against, and it is even able to flip matchups using some shields just because of the coverage that Foul Play offers. I've got some more videos for Shiftry Week as well. Well, one more video for Shiftry Week tomorrow. We're going to be looking at Shiftry as a leading Pokemon, but obviously I stopped here at rank 7 and I'm still playing, so I will probably throw together a highlight of my rank 8 battles, my best rank 8 battles with Shiftry, and have that on the YouTube channel sometime next week. So that won't be an official part of Shiftry Week, but maybe we'll call it a Shiftry Week bonus video, my Season 2 highlights. You can stay tuned for that in the future. Subscribe if you want to see it, and leave a like to let me know you enjoyed the content, plus leave a comment to let me know what you want to see in the future. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace!